Okay. So where are we, Alex?
So we're here in the middle of Berlin, in the best neighborhood in Berlin. We're in Mitte in front of St. Oberholz, the cafe where most meetups and stuff happen. Also the cafe where SoundCloud we had our office here in the beginning. And we also, when we grew out of our office space, we rented a couple of apartments that they have upstairs and had our second office there for a while. I live just down the street here, and our office is just down the street in the other direction. We now have one office on this street and one on the street behind it.
So is it like Soma in San Francisco?
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a mix between like Soma and Mission, probably a bit more Soma-like, but less warehouses and smaller distances, so it's easier to
more
like
cleaner
walk around.
too.
Yeah.
So Alex,
Yep.
from SoundCloud, we're in your new old office.
Yeah, this is the old office, and then we had to take a second office just down the street here as well. And now we're trying to figure out if we need a third one or if we can find a really big one ASAP to get everything back into one place.
So you and I took a little walk around what is formerly East Berlin.
Yep.
And it seems like it's become the mecca for all sorts of internet startups.
Yep.
Why is that?
I mean, the main thing is, Berlin is very much a city of like creativity and tech like mixed together. It also is like a city that's very kind of like counterculture, do things your own way. And I think that's, very much like startups are. Like you start a startup because you think things should be done differently. So that's sort of the Berlin thing. And I think this is sort of the heart of Berlin at the moment. Like most of the things are happening here, both on sort of the art scene, a lot on sort of the restaurant, nightclub scene, and a lot of the startups end up being around here as well.
So walking around, it looked like to me it was like a cross between Soma, Soho, and East Village.
Yeah.
in like with a lot of new construction.
Yeah. I mean, there's construction everywhere. So I live just on this street as well, and I always say, whenever I go over to the US, like when I come back, there's always like a new cafe or a new art gallery on my street, like every single time. So it's people are building stuff like crazy, but it does have the Soma vibe to it in that there's a lot of art galleries here and things like that, but it's not as much sort of warehouses. There's also more like smaller streets with a lot of like boutiques and stuff like that. But it's creative and fun.
So for 2 days, I've been here for about 48 hours,
Yep.
and I'll be gone in 72.
You already know the streets.
Yeah, I kind of know the streets, which I'm good at. But one thing I observed and my perception was that the city itself seems to be in a build-out mode. There's
Yeah.
just cranes everywhere and feels like a disorganized startup
Yeah.
in a way.
That's actually like I always joke about that one of the things of like why it's good for startups to be in Berlin is that the whole city is a startup. Like everything's moving really fast. It's going in a good direction. Nobody knows exactly where it's going, but like it's a good sort of chaotic creativity going on. But it's definitely in a build-out phase. And the interesting thing is like I moved here 4.5 years ago, and it was also in a build-out phase then. So it's just like full-on increasing tempo all the time.
Why do people come to Berlin?
So we came here because it felt good. Like that was really we were here for one day, Eric and I, and we just felt like, wow, this place is really vibrant. It seems really creative. It seems really different and cool. So we just moved over right away. And I think, Berlin has this reputation of being like and one of the best cities one of the coolest cities like in Europe, and especially now when there's so much activity here. Like the art scene has been coming here for the last 10 years or something, and now a lot of the music people in Europe are moving here, and I think now we're starting to see the wave of startups as well.
So moving away from London because London's too expensive?
I think London is a good place as well. Like we have an office there, and there's other benefits in London. It's definitely way more expensive. I think that maybe if you're an early stage startup, that depends on what you're doing. But if you're an early stage consumer startup, I find that sometimes in London people get distracted by all of the big companies and potential partnerships and stuff you can do there, that gets distracting when you're an early stage consumer startup, and what you should be focusing on is really like on product and user experience. So for us, it was a lot easier to do that in Berlin.
So my big takeaway from this is that it feels very un-German, German city.
Yeah, it's
People
actually
crossing in middle of the street, and it's like, wow, this just looks like, San Francisco or New York. It's just like,
Yeah.
I mean, my two other experiences in Germany
we're
are
not in
like
Munich,
Munich and Düsseldorf, and they're different. Let's just say that.
It's very different. I feel that, Berlin is my favorite city in the world. Like I love living in Berlin. I almost think like I wouldn't live in Germany, but I would live in Berlin, which is, maybe I would enjoy it in Hamburg or Munich as well, but I don't feel like a desire to live there. But I think Berlin takes a lot of the awesome things that Germany has, but also sort of mixes it up with this sort of crazy punk creative culture.
So I would move here, except I haven't seen any good curry restaurants here. What's up with that?
That's actually one of the bad things with Berlin. Like in Stockholm, there's lots of great like curry places. Here, there's not that many. Like, and I mean, I love great Indian food, and
I smell an opportunity there.
yeah, there definitely
you go.
is.
Wow.
I'd be the first like customer.
All right. Thanks, Alex.
Cool, thanks.